Will you please welcome another Bath patron? Yes, and a friend of the festival. She is a former diversity manager at the BBC and also has worked at Sky and produced programmes for London weekend television. So it's safe to say that she's been around the block, including this very building, and she's here now to give you the patron speech following the footsteps of last year's patron, Charlie Henson. Ladies and gentlemen, can you please welcome Sue Caro?
I think I should say that I've also worked for Channel 4 and live news and various other things as well. Anyway, lovely to see you. I'm delighted to be a patron of Bath. I thought it was its 11th year, a year that sees Emmanuel's vision and commitment recognised and rewarded as big industry players step up to become Bath sponsors. It's a welcome, if somewhat overdue, tribute to and validation of Emmanuel's dedication, effort and belief. Those of you present who know me will be aware that I've long been a passionate advocate of the need for the industry to be more inclusive, that the talents of all, regardless of background, should be recognised, given a platform and celebrated, not excluded. Bath has been doing this for 11 years and I know it's not been easy. Starting my career in live television news more than 35 years ago, I soon recognised the different, lesser value placed on those who were not like us, white and Western, by the media and wider society. In 1979, I sat in UPITN's London newsroom watching satellite footage of the US-backed Nicaraguan dictator Somoza's troops pouring petrol over and then burning alive wounded Sandinista rebel soldiers. Not one UK or US television news provider broadcast those pictures. It was a total non-story, and in my youthful naivety, I was both horrified and astonished. However, a week or so later, a white US reporter, Bill Stewart, was executed by Somoza's troops. They were unaware that Stewart's cameraman was hiding in the bush and had captured the shooting on film. It was shown all around the world. That one American death and the associated outrage completely changed the coverage and the course of the conflict. It forced America to stop their support of Somoza, and literally a few days later, he was overthrown. I also learned from this and other incidents about how much influence the media has, how it shapes and often distorts people's opinions, even those of so-called intelligent, educated people. I discovered that many supposedly impartial and objective journalists were themselves openly racist. Due to my choice of life partner, at work I received racist hate mail in the internal post. I found anti-black racist articles left on my desk by senior reporters, apparently in the hope that I would see the errors of my ways. I'd observed with dismay the hostile attitudes of the all-white OB, that's outside broadcast, engineers and technical staff towards curious black boys, as opposed to curious white boys, keen to see inside the OB truck when we were on location in a public space. I remember from my own extended black family the excitement when a black person appeared on TV in anything other than a crime news report. Everyone would be called to hurry, come quick, to witness this amazing event. I'm proud of the fact that around this time, I managed to get a teenage Ron Bailey, now one of the preeminent black and film and TV sound mixers in the UK, his first sight of and access to a professional TV studio sound mixing desk. I knew then that I had to use my privilege to try and make a difference. I repeat, this was more than 30 years ago. Things have improved, but not enough. The pace of change has been glacial. The lack of ethnic, gender and social diversity in the industry is frankly scandalous. To borrow from the Black Lives Matter protesters, I can't believe that we still have to protest this shit in 2016, but we do. And the reason we do, at least to me, is self-evident. I'm of the opinion that what we're witnessing right now in the UK, including the frightening increase in racism and racist attacks, is at least partly due to the failure of the media and the film and TV industry to normalise and treat black and minority ethnic talent as British as opposed to other. The years of negative one-dimensional portrayal in big and small screen drama and news reporting of so-called immigrants has helped to get us to this place, as has the unwillingness to portray or report regularly on the part that black, brown and yellow British citizens have played, including dying in large numbers fighting for Britain in 2 world wars, and continue to play in making the UK what it is. The failure to recognise a universal story if set in a minority community, the continuing absence of women on both the small and large screen and behind the cameras, acting becoming the profession of acting becoming one for the elite. The list is endless, but I imagine you're getting the point. Talent and creativity is not limited to those with a white skin who've been privately educated, but you wouldn't know that if you looked at the vast majority of decision makers, those in positions of power and influence in film and TV. More training courses are not the answer. The industry has been training minority people for 30 plus years. Where are all those former trainees, I wonder? Why aren't they running TV channels, series producing or commissioning like their white counterparts? Why aren't they directing and producing feature films, being nominated for BAFTAs and Oscars every year? I also wonder why, despite all the evidence to the contrary, films with predominantly black or other ethnic minority-led cast are still seen as a risk. Likewise, if behind the camera talent is BME. Interestingly, in the eyes of commissioners and funders, it has been apparently less risky to let middle-class white writer-directors produce their version of black British reality. I recall suggesting to the then head of BBC Films that it was highly likely that if a black British writer-director with no drama experience had pitched Bullet Boy, for example, it wouldn't have been green-lit. His response was that I was probably right. I didn't know whether to be pleased that he had not acknowledged this truth or depressed. There is plenty of research from both the UK and the US that shows just how commercially attractive films and television programmes are when the cast is ethnically, socially and gender diverse. They do better at the box office and generate more overseas programme sales. This knowledge makes it even harder to understand the lack of opportunities afforded to BME film and programme makers by the industry gatekeepers. It doesn't explain why a script that is described as unique and very interesting suddenly becomes impossible to place when the previously unseen writer-director responsible is revealed to be a large, dreadlocked black man who loves sci-fi and fantasy. The BME writers, producers, directors and creators in this room will recognise this scenario, I'm sure. The flip side is that if you're a black creative, you're frequently told to stick to what you know, i.e. your specific ethnic community. When you do that, it's then rejected as being too niche, as having no mainstream appeal. I've been there. I've seen it, heard it and challenged it. That's why I'm also outside the industry. I'm way too difficult, apparently. If you faced down all the naysayers, jumped all the barriers in order to pull off the nearly impossible and produce a film that tells a story you want to tell, can you get the holy grail of a distribution deal? No. Historically, the answer to that has been a resounding no. Hopefully that is changing as films such as Belle, Gone Too Far and Selma, all directed by black women, incidentally, show that a good story is a good story.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, thank goodness for Buff. A very welcome and much needed showcase for the work of talented filmmakers who struggle for recognition in the mainstream. To have a platform where the work is screened, validated and celebrated is enormously valuable. It encourages people to keep going when they might otherwise give up. Being selected for the festival can also be the first step to securing that elusive distribution deal. So, big up to Buff, to Emmanuel and Claire, to the team, the patrons and the supporters, and good luck to Addy, the newly appointed festival director. What you do is vitally important. Long may you continue and hopefully reap your just rewards. Here's to a great 2016 festival. I, for one, can't wait.
Go on, Sue.